Michael, please make me co-host.
Okay. I've just paused the recording because, wait to see if somebody comes in the class. And then I guess we've got to just play act for the people that may be watching on social media. We still go through the class.
Yeah.
Okay. The class goes very quickly when there's nobody interacting because it's designed. So, but anyway, we'll play it by ear. Yeah. That's Franklin, you can take down the screen now. Okay. Let's take a view. Hello, Ernest.
How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well, thank you. How are you doing?
Pretty good. No complaints.
That's good. Okay. How's your climate out there featuring today?
Good day. Hasn't rained today, but the last couple of days has been off and on. It's been rainy.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've been having like constant drizzly rain for days on end. It comes and goes. And it is the same today. Yeah. Okay. Ernest, have you arrived with an idea or a thought of your purpose or yeah?
No, not completely. Because I've been involved in a lot of readings from getting set up. The different tutorials that I'm trying to go through that. And I'm just now getting to the point where I'm comfortable with it and more understanding to it. But it's not too bad, but it's just a lot of information for me at once and trying to grapple with that. But it's coming in. It's coming in. It helps a lot.
Okay. That's great. But you feeling fit?
Yeah, definitely.
Great. Okay. That's super. All right. I'm just going to share a screen, Ernest, and we only had one other person that was actually booked, but that's fine. We'll talk. I understand from our previous conversation where you're at as well. So we'll work through and we'll interact. And
very good.
Okay, so that'll be great. One of the things when you do have a purpose and or an idea, even let's say it's not a purpose, even it's an idea that you want to do something, and you don't know really where to start, and so you keep thinking, you're umming and ahhing, and you maybe go and listen to this YouTube video, or you might go and listen to this Get Set Up class, and it's not quite right. And so you're really wondering where to start. And I think this class is addressing that issue. Okay, I believe it is addressing that issue. So it's not, the whole process needs to be kept simple. Okay, and so let's just assume that you do have an idea, because you probably do have an idea in the back of your head. You know, you've been throwing around a couple of things to do in the future, you know, as you move forward. So one of the first aspects when you're working with that idea is to ask yourself this question, and that is, who will benefit? Who will benefit from you moving forward with this idea or with this purpose? Okay, you know, us seniors, I know some people don't like using the word senior. You know, us wise ones, us filled with wisdom. Okay.
There you go. I like that.
You know, I truly believe we are leaders of a new society. I'm talking about the you and me. Okay, let's call ourselves Mr. Average. Okay, we are the leaders of the new society. You know, we've understood, having been through all our lives from a society that has been involved with, say, selfishness or with wars, fighting each other for goodness knows what, or even on a day-to-day consumeristic type society where we buy. And we've grown up in that environment, but we now look back and realize that that's not the world that anybody wants, okay, except the selfish ones maybe. But so we're looking now at the question that we start this class with: who is going to benefit from whatever we are going to do? You know, maybe we're going to, you know, we've got a purpose, we've got this idea, maybe it's about fighting, you know, the conditions of our planet. It might be so broad. Okay, it may be just working with our hands with a craft and maybe sharing that somehow with people, maybe the art of doing it and the benefits of actually doing it. Nothing to do with money, of course, nothing to do with money. It's about how we can benefit society, how we can benefit a group of people who want to do that. You know, maybe we want to research information about climate change and we want to blog it, or we want to, you know, explain to people in simple terms, you know, how we can help with that process. Now, whatever that idea is, whatever that purpose is, ask yourself who is going to benefit from it. Okay, because that's the starting point of taking something forward. Because once you've got an idea in your head about who is going to benefit, then you can now take the first little step forward and start forming some type of communication around that aspect. So it's important to start the process. Who would benefit from my idea? You know, would it be abandoned children? Would it be wise old seniors? Okay, you know, would it be, who would it be? Would it be gardeners? Would it be you know, animals in shelter? Who will benefit from your idea that you're going to move forward with it? And this process is so important, because we, as people who are like myself, you know, around well into their 70s, we have another 30 years ahead of us at least, okay, because the lifespan is increasing. And if we have a purpose to live for, okay, that's going to help with our lifespan as well. Not only to lengthen it, but to make it contented, fulfilled, and happy with taking that forward. So it is what we do That's our purpose, okay? And then we need to know, like we spoke yesterday at the class yesterday, we need to know why we are doing it, okay? Okay, so that we've arrived with. Now the other question is, as I've said, you know, who's going to benefit from this process, okay? Ernest, I'm not going to introduce myself again because you know me, okay?
Yeah.
But it's who I am for anybody that might be watching from another angle that can't join the class or hasn't chosen to participate in the class. So what I'm going to cover in this particular class is that tiny step forward, and keeping it simple. Because if we can get that first step forward and not get cluttered up with all sorts of information, and you know, we are so filled in our society with so much information that it needs to be now. The next task is to make it simple, to bring down that information and talk about something in a simple way. Okay, so as I started off the class, who will benefit from your idea? That's the first way of starting to take that little step forward, okay? And once you've taken that first little step, believe me, it'll make a world of difference when you wake up in the morning, knowing that you've got a single mind and you've got a single purpose, and you know why you're doing it, and you now, you know, jumping out of bed. As I see on the slide there, I've written, true happiness and fulfillment comes from giving back and helping others. In other words, who will benefit? You are going to get the happiness and the fulfillment if you make that clear, and that it's not a selfish endeavor that you're going to embark on, okay? So the question is, who do you want to help? And then we're going to be looking at how. So I promised yesterday as well, how do we want to help people? You know, are we going to do it through blogging? Are we going to do it through teaching? Are we going to do it physically, face to face? You know, are we going to do it writing a book? You know, how? We're going to deal with that today largely, and tomorrow at the same time, looking at the how, and keeping in mind that each one of us are absolutely unique. Okay? And so therefore we can't just copy somebody else. It won't work for us. Okay? It has to be something that comes from us, and we move forward, because now some of us have skills, some of us have handicaps, and some of us are enhanced with all sorts of possibilities. And we need to take those into account. We need to work with those things, whether they be, you know, limitations or otherwise. So it's a good point to move forward with, and not to think about, well, I'll just go on to Mr. Google and find something and copy that person or do what that person is doing. No, that's not it. Okay, so how do we move forward with that little edge now, having answered that question in that first stage of who's going to benefit? Okay, but now we're going to look at how are we going to communicate? How are we going to bring it down and do something with that in a very simple way? All right, so you see on the slide there how to start achieving your purpose. So we're moving forward. What you need to do if you want to make it an impact on yourself and also with whoever who is going to be listening to your idea or participating, okay, the first thing that I recommend that you do is that you create a 10-minute presentation to the world about what you're going to be doing. Okay. Now, of course, you don't necessarily have to give it that presentation to the world, but you need to now focus on that. You need to perhaps write it down, or if you just record it, go onto Zoom and have nobody present and just record your presentation. And even if you talk just spontaneously, without any notes even, okay, for 10 minutes about your idea and about the people that are going to benefit. And even if you foul up and make a mess of it, that's not the important thing. You're not going to give this recording to anybody, okay? This is for your own progress to take that small step forward. Okay, so maybe let me just stop there. Ernest, do you have any questions or any comments?
Nothing special, but the idea of is a sense of organizing your thought process and capitalizing on that and making it clear for yourself and for others, like you're saying. That whole process is a different. The communication is key. You have to understand it for yourself and others as you're doing that. And that's what issues for me that helps me to focus on where I'm going, what I want to do and how I'm going to do it. And what I'm trying to explain it to others to make it easier to be done. Right. So those ideas are very good for me.
Excellent, spot on, absolutely spot on. And you know, it's important for everybody to do this process, because as you rightly say, you get your thinking focused on what you're doing. And it's not always easy, because you know, you jump around from right. This to that, and you know, as you're thinking about something, then somebody knocks on the door and interrupts you, or your phone rings, or your cell phone goes beep beep.
Yep.
And it takes it away. So yeah. So the first thing is definitely to gather your thoughts, however way you want to do it. As I say, I tend to be more of an audio, although I write a lot, okay? I enjoy being audio. I enjoy putting my thoughts. I always, in fact, I said it to my wife this morning, you know, I think by talking. And so it's for me, it's really good just to chat to somebody. It like clarifies my thinking and helps me. So when I haven't got somebody to chat to, then I just do a recording, like pretend I'm talking to somebody. So you pretend you're talking to the world. That's what I'm saying as a starter. Okay. So the next slide. Okay. If you look at there's a kitten looking into a mirror, and the mirror is showing back a lion. Okay. So the kitten sees herself as a lion in the mirror. Okay. Now, that's exactly what this next step talks about. You know, you must find a path. You must find a methodology that creates the greatest version of you. Okay, not what somebody else says, this is the best thing to do, you know, because that statistically is this, that, and the other thing. No. Okay, it's about finding what makes you the greatest version of yourself. Okay, and as I said, we're all unique and we all have issues in life. Okay, whatever they might be, and they might handicap us or they might enhance us, but whatever that does, we need to acknowledge that. And so we need to start gathering tools that allow us to reach our fullest potential, and maybe the greatest version of ourselves that maybe we haven't even experienced in the past, or a new version because of circumstances or accidents or diseases that we've had. We might have changed. And so we now are starting to create a new, unique me. Okay? And so you accept that, you acknowledge that. And now you think to yourself, now, when I look in that mirror, am I going to, in the future, see a bigger me? Okay. Am I going to see a new me? Am I going to see a confident me? Am I going to see that aspect which makes me the best me? Okay. So now the next step is to take that conversation, that 10-minute conversation you had with the world, and now reduce it into one sentence. Okay. Now that is frightening. I know it's frightening. Okay. But it's part of coming to grips with your thinking and with your concept. So now you've spoken for it randomly for 10 minutes, and you said this and that and the other thing. But now, can you bring it down to one line, a purpose impacting one-line sentence? Okay, and I'm not necessarily talking about an elevator pitch that people would say in sales jargon and when you're training. This is about bringing your thinking down to a point, and it might take you a few days. All right,
yeah. A few, yeah.
Yeah. But that's fine, Ernest, because we got the rest of our lives anyway. Okay?
Exactly.
So, and we might not get it right the first time, but it does help us sort of take the people that we mentioned at the beginning that are going to benefit, okay, and then take what you are going to do and then put it in one sentence. Okay, so maybe the deaf people are going to benefit. You making a hearing aid, so your sentence might be something like, I enhance people's lives through hearing. All right. So, yeah, it's not easy to give a lot of examples because the examples never fit everybody who's watching or listening. And, it just needs to be enhancing what you did in 10 minutes in one sentence. Okay. So you can start by imagining your journey. Just you've now given the 10-minute, and just imagine that journey. Try and getting it clearer and clearer. And don't forget your idea, your purpose, and why you are doing it, because that why is the key to finding that one sentence, because you'll introduce it. You might be thinking of the people that have benefited, what are they suffering from, or what is their pain? Okay, it doesn't have to be, a poverty type thing. It can be pain in business. It can be, they can't get enough customers to sell their things to. That's a pain. Okay, so whatever you can think about and imagine that your market, the people that you want to communicate to, what do they need? Okay, and so that will help you with your idea, putting the two together in your thinking, and it's a process that you slowly move forward in order to pinpoint the key issue that you are doing with your idea for those people that are going to benefit. Okay, so I had or still do have a friend, and he did it in his business. He did it with his business, and he looked at people that he was communicating with on social media, and he decided that people really the biggest pain for people in small businesses is that they couldn't find people to sell to. Okay, And so he thought about this and worked on he did a grand 10-minute type presentation. He knew what was it, but then he brought it down to one-liner. Now, this is a man who's now doing what we're doing here with the idea and moving forward with that idea. And his one-lining sentence aimed at people who couldn't find people to sell their products to. Okay, so those were the people he was going to, and he said, "We cement your personal credibility and industry reputation to key people on LinkedIn." Okay, so he was very specific what he was going to do, and he set out, and he's still doing it right today. So a one-line sentence like that is like targeted, it's clear, and intriguing, I guess you could say as well. It's inviting your audience who are in that category to find out more and want to contact you and want to communicate with you. So that's taking the step forward. Okay, so it's really an important to create or think about and imagine and try and write it down, that purpose impacting one-line sentence. So yeah, that's let's call it the next step that one needs to look at. So having identified that, having identified who's going to benefit, having identified the people and talked for 10 minutes and made a one sentence, now you want to look at how to move forward now with the next step. Okay, so again, I urge you to keep it simple. There is no need for any complexity. It doesn't make things go any quicker, faster by just making it complicated. Okay, so you need to find your methods yourself through what I'm going to tell you now that will help you in the startup process now in June 2021. Okay, so the first thing you see on your screen there is something that is important, and that is focus on your big picture. Focus on your grand purpose. Keep your thoughts positively on that big picture, because your thoughts become your words and your words become your actions. Okay, so that focus is important, you know, and we are pulled away from our focus repeatedly and repeatedly with distractions and other people's good ideas. Okay, so in order to focus, we need to keep conscious of the why, and who will benefit. Why? Okay, why are we doing this? Okay, we're doing it for a very good reason. All right, the second thing on your is plan. When I talk about plan, I talk about it simply. Plan how you want to spend each day reaching your fullest potential, like looking in that mirror, remember, without stressing yourself. So keep it simple, keep it doable, so your plans will revolve around basic, simple aspects of whatever you've chosen to do. Time management. Set regular times to do what you want to do and what you plan to do on a daily basis. Okay, it's more about when rather than how many minutes. It's more about, you know, I'm going to get up and maybe at whatever 9 a.m. every morning through to 11 a.m. I'm going to be working on this idea and taking that first step forward. And then the other 22 hours, you can do what you like, okay? But put it aside, probably 2 hours a day to action that purpose of yours. And then stick it. It's like a discipline. Your whole consciousness needs a discipline. Yeah. Then simple goals. Set yourself. We spoke yesterday about this in class about goal setting and so on. Your subconscious has come up with this idea of what you must do, and you're feeling good and warm about it. So you know where you're heading, you know what you want to do. You don't want to set a time limit to it, okay? So what I mean by goals is, things that, I want to spend 10 minutes every day, let's say Monday to Friday, doing this. Now, that can be a goal, okay? I want to do those 10 minutes, okay? Or you can say, I want to post something on social media once a day about my idea and a content, giving free, valuable content to people that are going to see it and like what I'm doing, and that content enhances the whole process in some form or other. So you are sharing with them what they really want. If you're suffering from diabetes and you're sharing all the cures for diabetes, each post could be a separate aspect about that particular issue. If that's your purpose, you've cured yourself from diabetes too, and you want to now share that information, or you're managing it and you want to share that information and interact with people. And that could be your idea, and that could be your purpose, because perhaps you nearly died from it, and now you want to move forward with why you didn't. Okay, so you share content. That's what I'm saying. That is relative to your idea and adding value to your idea. And if you can't do it on a daily basis, within those 2 hours every day, but then decide, set yourself, go once a week, fine, okay, once a week I'm going to post that, and then you can measure it. That's a goal. I'm going to post once a week. So they're measurable goals. It's never anything to do with money, okay? Not this aspect. The money is a measurement of your success if you are selling something, okay? But this is now the methodology. This is now your deep inner feelings of how to keep going and moving forward simply. So embrace that simplicity in your planning and your actions and any goals that you might set yourself. And daily recharge is an important aspect. I've come to realize that more in the last couple of days than ever before. And I knew about it. I used to do stuff, but you tend to sort of just not recharge. And so find what works for you to recharge. What recharges you? What gives you energy? For this morning, for the very first time in my life, I took a Tai Chi class on Get Set Up. And it was my first one. I was like a man with 10 legs and 7 arms and getting all tied up. But you see, I eventually turned my camera off because I was too embarrassed of myself. But find something that works. I'm going to look at a yoga class, probably later today. And my wife and I yesterday took a light exercise class on Get Set Up as well. And really a lovely lady from Eastern Australia, and really super. And but I'm going to look at meditation. That'll probably help me. I walk every day anyway, but it's yeah, we're walking the dog. So it's not a mindful walking. It's all like looking after the dog walking, and I do gardening, but find something that works with you, okay, every single day. Okay. Now, whether it's 10 minutes or an hour, okay, know that is your daily recharge. It's just taking your mind off your entire life, maybe, even your handicap if you have one, or your injury if you have one, and you're now going to focus on just either some fun or something meditative where you raise your consciousness, and maybe it's just sort of if you're into prayer, maybe it's really a meditative prayer or a contemplative prayer of gratitude and so on. Well, whatever recharges you, find it, and you can change it. If you don't like this, if I can't do this, try Tai Chi, I guess I'll change it. Okay, and see if I can find something that I can use 2 legs and 2 arms with, and but find what works. That's what I'm saying, Ernest. It really is a I can't even say I've proved it, but I'm convinced that we need to have it all the time, and certainly those professionals out there, and they say that we need it. So you and I try it, Ernest. Okay, fine.
You got to do it. You got to do something.
You've got to do something that energizes you. Okay,
right.
It makes you feel good, and whatever it is. And fortunately, with Skype and YouTube and Google Meet, and we can get out there and do these things without too much pressure. So before I move on, stay focused on the task at hand. Okay, the things that are on this particular slide. Okay, and avoid going off at a tangent during the time that you need to be doing. In other words, those 2 hours. Okay, but also the 2 hours doesn't include your recharge. That's outside of the 2 hours. Okay,
right.
The recharge is maybe first thing in the morning, or whenever it is, or late in the afternoon. Stay focused on what you've decided to do and you've planned to do. There's plenty of other time to wander off in a different direction and allow things just to happen, but not when it comes to getting your business forward. You stay focused, keep your times. Okay. So having said all that, any comments? Maybe I should just stop sharing for a minute, and I'm going to have a sip of water while you tell me what you're thinking about.
There's because of this gets set up, it's focusing a lot of energy for me to what I want to do. I'm learning a lot of things. I've had a career in the past, but over time it's changed because the age, the job, the environment for the job, that kind of thing, those things have changed. And now I'm a widower. So, I'm doing it by myself. Don't have to worry about other things or any individuals, but I'm cared about my family, my children. But I want to do something better, make it better for them going forth, for not only for me, but maybe wisdoms that I can add, impart to them, to show them or help them in some way that makes it better for them. So all of that is just evaluating myself completely. And that I haven't been giving out, but it's just because of the physical things that had bothered me for a while. I think I'm on track for where I need to go and do. So I'm I'm putting up the game for it. I'm staying up the game for it. Things will be good. I have a plan,
Right.
that's the important thing. I mean, having something I want to do. I don't know what it is exactly, but I'm moving forward. So that
Yeah.
makes the difference.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. I also thoroughly enjoy communicating with my children, and I have an inordinate number of children, and so I communicate regularly with all of them, and but each one is an individual, so I communicate what is relevant to them. Okay.
Right.
As opposed to a blanket, let me tell you how to eat properly. Those days are gone. You can't tell your children how to eat anymore when they're grown up and got their own children. And so you've got to be relevant for them in there. So I find that also, it's part of my week. I sort of like try to communicate over weekends with them. And so that really warms me. I really enjoy hearing about how they're doing things and what they're doing, and how they're doing with their pregnancy, and how's the young baby, and
Right.
how is the holiday, and there's that togetherness. I understand that really is important. Okay. And
Definitely.
yeah. But I when I try and give them advice, I can see that their eyes go blurry. So anyway, so there are different ways now as we move forward with our idea and move forward towards the people that we've identified, and we've got a what that we want to now communicate with them. There are different forms of communication, and that's what I want to sort of move through to now. You can see on your screen, the one-on-one communication is probably my favorite, where I meet twice a week with a dear friend in Eastern Australia, and we talk on Zoom and we just chat. Okay. And so that sort of one-on-one is great. And whenever it's one of my children's birthdays, then it's a one-on-one conversation that could last an hour of wishing them happy birthday and so on. So that becomes, so I get through to them. And then when it's my birthday, they all come onto Zoom, all of them. So I get all of my kids up in front of me, wishing me happy birthday. And that's also fun. Okay. And so one-on-one communication is often a way to move forward with whatever your idea is. And so keep that in mind as we move, because at the moment we're just taking tiny little steps, tiny little ideas. And you could be requesting people, do you want to chat to me from your social media? Or you could be sending emails out to people, which is also on this list here. But the second one on the list is personal interactive type things. Like, if you're not going to meet physically or via Zoom, you can meet other ways, which is still interactive, like the telephone, for example. Okay. And, with social media now, you can press and talk on the phone. Like, you and I never grew up with. We used to have a telephone.
Right. Whole thing.
Yeah, that's right. And it could also be targeted social media, where you are now, interacting with text, and maybe with audio, with a one-on-one perhaps, or even with a group of people. That could be working as well. So, and then if you've got people following you, they like your idea, there are other ways to send out, like emails about your content. I send out a weekly email every single week without fail. about something that interests me, which is alternative health, and all the things that are revolved around alternative health, but focusing, around painful legs and people that have had issues with walking and things like that. So, it could be through that. And then somebody who receives an email, then, perhaps wants to have a chat, then you can have a phone call with it, or you can go to social media. So, there are channels of communication that you will use. You just be aware of them, because as you move forward, you have to make decisions. How am I going to move forward? And so this is one of the things that you should be looking at for the future. So, you're no longer taking your idea and stuffing it down people's throats, okay? As much as you don't take your idea and stuff it down your children's throats, okay? It's not like that anymore. It just, the consciousness of the world has changed. And so people now, because of social media, and because they can look at your bio on social media, they can look at your products on social media, they can look at your pricing on social media. It's about sharing valuable content. That's what it's about. And so it's important to focus on particular channels of communication. So, if you're not sure, you then just start with like a Facebook or an Instagram or a Pinterest or one of those, or TikTok for the younger person, or Snapchat. And you focus on those, on one of those perhaps, and you start the process of sharing some communication in those 2 hours a day that we spoke about, okay? And so you slowly start building relationships, okay? In other words, contacts that are now starting to follow you, and maybe you following them, and maybe you're answering each other's questions, and those type of relationships. And your task is to advance your user engagement, okay? That's the key as we move forward with tiny steps, is keep in your mind, you want to engage people, okay? Build those relationships to work towards some sort of experience together, and they add value to you, you add value to them on social media, and so it builds. And but take one of the Get Set Up classes on the beginner's guide to Facebook or Instagram or Pinterest or any of those that I've mentioned, and there are a lot more, okay? Maybe the app Nextdoor might be appropriate as well, because now you're dealing with people in your physical location, your physical suburban town, and with Nextdoor, and there are others like that too as well. So yeah, the other option that you have as we move forward now, and we're coming towards the end of the class today, that there are people that you can piggyback on, particularly if you are marketing a product, okay? And that is, you can use something called a micro-influencer. It's a new term these days because of social media taking over everything that we used to do maybe physically in the past. A micro-influencer is somebody that has started off and shared their idea and their thought, and it's just got out of control. It's just gone, they've got 100,000 followers in no time sharing their idea. And that 100,000 has turned to 1 million in some cases of followers. And so you could, they now put themselves out there that you can share your idea with them, and then they would help promote it. Just by mentioning it in their content, that's all. Okay, they won't, it's not, they won't place any adverts or anything like that. So, what you see on the screen here are 3 typical people who are influencers who started from just nowhere and then built up. And they're all over 80 years old. And but to link yourself to one of them with your idea, if your idea is a charitable one, they'll be open to that. If your idea is to make some money on the side or to make a business out of it, then they definitely a route to go. So that could be one of your channels as you move forward slowly. You would have to pay them, okay, unless it's a charity thing. I'm sure they'd be open to that, but otherwise you pay them. And it's far more effective than trying to send out adverts wherever you want to put adverts. It's 11 times, in fact, 11 times more effective statistically. And but then the other option is do it yourself and not use other people. You may include all the things we've spoken about already in this class and yesterday's class, and we're going to speak about in tomorrow's class at the same time. But you could use podcast, audio if you're not into writing, or that could definitely be. And as I said, email, like I use, you could get people following you, and there's a class about how to do that. Or you could just stick to social media and do that. You could even open your own website and have everything there, and then you get a search engine optimization of that website that brings people to you. Otherwise, you could just use video. Okay, so there are lots of ways. As I move forward, I've always recommended, in order to just use one example, I've said Instagram, so we talk tomorrow and the next day about Instagram, but it could be Facebook, right? It doesn't have to be Instagram. But the most important thing is to get started, to take that small little step, is to put together in a file, electronic file or physical file, content that you've now researched about what you're doing. If you're talking about diabetes, then there is so much to talk about with diabetes, and so many different things that can happen and do. And you can start storing that content ready to do a short post with a picture, and then you find some images, some free images that you can add to that. And I was on a diabetic get set up this morning early, and if you were there, you would have seen me. I love the backdrop of the guide. He had this beautiful flowers as his, as opposed to mine, which is black and just gets set up. He has all these lovely flowers. So anyway, you start your content, and you start moving forward with putting it together and starting, as I say, whatever goal you set yourself, once a week or once a day. You move forward. So that like brings me to the end of what I wanted to share today. Any last comments, Ernest?
I said it's all new for me, but at the same time, I'm engrossed with it, excited about it because of the possibilities,
Right.
and focusing on some things that I haven't done before. It's all new for me in different ways, but you got to move because you need to keep moving, keep going,
Okay. And you need to find a purpose in order to have a purpose. Okay.
Definitely.
Life is, Okay, well, thanks very much. I'm just going to go through the end of class procedure here.
Okay.
You can see the related classes, because tomorrow we're going to do class 3. And then class 4 and then class 5 in consecutive days at the same time this week. Other classes that I do is how to grow microgreens and Facebook and Instagram, although I think those are going to be taken away this week still and replaced with some new ones that I've got, which relate around mysteries under the sea is one, and virtual traveling with Google Earth, and how to work with Google Earth simply, which is also interesting. Ernest, you might be interested in that. Just doing a virtual tour of wherever you want to go using Google Earth, and getting down to street level on some of the cities. So it's worthwhile. Then on the left, if you ever do share anything on social media with your friends or family and so on, Get Set Up, would value any link. There's a hashtag and there's an @ that you can use on social media. And if you have anything to share about, something fun, something positive, something, your progress, Liz writes the blogs, and she'll be really, really keen to hear from you.
Okay.
Okay. Then at the end of the class, I send an email like all guides do, and there'll be some class notes and some links to other classes at random links to other classes. And then there is a feedback, and Get Set Up really, really urges you to give feedback, because this decides what classes are going to come, what classes are going to go, and whether they should keep a class, indefinitely. So please, the feedback is important. And, you can give a 1-star, 2-star, or a 5-star for whatever you type in there. So keep that in mind, and please do that. And whenever you book for a class, Get Set Up urges you to please invite a friend or a family or whoever. Okay, it looks different on a desktop. It will look like this on the left, and then on a mobile it would look something like that. So because the classes are free, it's like a gift that you're giving somebody. It is a gift, not like a gift. Okay, and so yeah, please just be aware of that. And if you ever want to host a group yourself, make contact with help@getsetup.io. Even if it's a once-off subject that maybe you prepare to host, once a month or once a week. But if you don't want to do that, but you have a class that you'd like to attend, suggest it. Please suggest it, because we are partners. We are together. We are one. Okay, we're all in that wise old group that we want to share with each other. So please, and don't forget, you can request a recording of this that we've just done now at help@getsetup. So with that, thank you very much indeed for watching, and Ernest, thanks very much for having your video on too. It's much appreciated.
Thank you.
So much easier.
Very great.
Yeah.
Much so. One quick question. The setup, when every class that you go, how do you do the, not the invite, but to let them know that you saw it and you appreciated that you wanted to do that? Do you do that on each one, or each class that you take?
Yeah, on each class. Okay. And so when the email will come now, straight away after this class, and then there'll be the takeaway notes, and then there'll be that as well. All right.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much. I hope I see you tomorrow, Ernest.
All right, sir. Thank you.